Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Mole in Space. My name is ChaosMole. Welcome to the very first Starfield episode of this podcast. You might have listened to my Mole in Hell podcasts, which were about Diablo 4. They're not done yet. They're taking more or less a break because nothing is happening in Diablo 4, unfortunately. Season 1 is more or less very disappointing. It was a weekend event, and there's just not much going on in the game, but I will return to it at some point, and I will also return to it with my Mole in Hell podcast. But what we are doing here at the Starfield podcast, well, pretty much the same actually. We are talking about news, we are talking about the game itself, what I'm doing in there, and I want to know what you are doing in the comments down below, of course. And I will make it very clear when we are getting into spoiler territory so that you are not getting spoiled. Of course, I have to see what really is spoiler territory besides of story parts, but we would just talk about the game, and we would talk about how it does, what's going on surrounding the game, and that's what we're covering here. So normally the podcast will go between 20 and 40 minutes. It will also happen every 2 weeks. Now at the beginning I am pretty sure it will happen every week because there's so much to talk about that every week I want to do a podcast about it. But then I think we will slow it down to like 2 weeks episodes. 2 weeks episodes? 2 weeks episodes. Yeah, that makes sense. And that's what we are doing. So this is the intro episode. The game is not out yet. The game is coming out on September 1st in early access, and then it's releasing for everyone else on September 6th. And I think this is the perfect time to just talk about a few things most people have heard about at this point, but maybe not, right? Give them a little bit of an update. And then we have a few news here and there. If you have missed it, there are now review copies of Starfield out in the wild, and people make good use of it. Unfortunately, there are some leaks. I will not really cover leaks because I do consider them as spoilers, because there are a lot of people out there which are very hyped about the game, but they don't really want to know anything about it yet. So yeah, I will not cover it. What I can tell you is I don't have a review code. I will not get a review code, which is completely fine. I will just play it on early access day like everyone else. But yeah, I have never signed an NDA, but still, I don't really want to take that away from people who really don't want to hear anything about the game before it really comes out, besides of the official stuff, right? So, Starfield early access release is on September 1st, and for everyone who's like, early access release, well, head start, right? Back in the day, we would have called it head start. Nowadays, it's early access, but it's kind of weird because we have early access, right? The real early access. And now this is also called early access. I find that a little bit confusing sometimes, but yeah, we will manage, right? But it's coming out September 1st. And to make it very clear, you are not getting early access by just pre-ordering the game. You have to pay extra money. You have to get the €90/$100 version of the game, or if you have Game Pass, there is an upgrade path which will cost you another $30 additionally to your Game Pass, and then you are getting like the premium edition, and you can jump into the game on September 1st, right? So that's how it goes. And if you want to jump in September 1st, that's what you have to do. Again, just pre-ordering the game will not net you early access. But Mole, I already have Game Pass. Yeah, and I've already explained how it works, right? You need to buy the update for the Game Pass to get into early access. If you don't want to do that, normal Game Pass will allow you to words. Man, what's going on today? It's weird. Will allow you to actually just get into the game when it releases on September 6th, like everyone else, right? So you have to wait for that. But, so the release version is out. Not the release, the review version, which is more or less probably what we are getting in early access. And so people have been talking a little bit about it, vaguely, and I will cover that. because I'm pretty sure this is not breaking the NDA, because if they would have broken the NDA, they wouldn't have done it in the way they did. But the consensus on people who have been playing this is they play a lot of it. And it doesn't look like they're doing this because they have to, because they're genuinely actually enjoying the game. Again, this is just guesswork here because they cannot tell us. But when somebody is like, oh yeah, I'm going to play Starfield for my review, and then they are gone for like 2 days, and they're normally super active on like social media, and it's like, what, dude? What happened? Huh? What day is it? It's Sunday. What? But I started on Friday. What happened? Right? Those are not sign of people who feel like they are forced to actually play the game, and I think that is a very positive sign. Right? There was this one thing somebody said that apparently somebody played this for 10 hours and they haven't seen a single bug yet. Now the reality is, look, I will try to keep this podcast as positive as possible, right? Because I want to be a little bit of a counterpart to all those other videos and podcasts out there which are always like on drama, and it's always all about drama and the bad side of gaming. And I want for Starfield to keep it as positive as it possible gets. But look, I have been playing Bethesda games since Daggerfall, and the reality is they are sometimes very bugged. They are sometimes even outright broken, right? And that's the reality of Bethesda games. I do enjoy Bethesda games, but that is something we have to acknowledge. So when somebody is actually coming to me and is telling me, dude, I've playing this now for X amount of time, I haven't seen a single bug, I'm going like, wait, are you serious? Are you playing a Bethesda game? Yeah, I swear, like 24 hours in, haven't seen really bugs yet. It's like, what? That would be amazing if that's the case, right? I would actually absolutely love that. And, well, we heard some rumors, I think it was the beginning of this year, where it was said that kinder Bethesda / Todd Howard really wanted to release on November 11th last year, which was the original release date, right? And it seems like Microsoft or Xbox stepped in and was like, dude, take your time. Take your time. Do the QA. Like, just do it right. And I will be honest, I think if that was really what happened, somebody actually stepped forward and just said, how about we are taking some extra time with really polishing this game? Like, best decision ever. Because, man, I hate to say it, but Redfall this year, like, ignoring the gameplay issues, it was a buggy mess. I have clips of just some horrendous bugs, and it's really unfortunate, right? So I'm always applauding like game studios who actually take their time and just try to do the best. Especially, let's not forget, I know this sounds a bit bizarre, but I think we are now in the after Baldur's Gate time. Like, Baldur's Gate 3, even though it will not change game development or anything, like, I know we have all seen those articles where they are like, oh my god, how will Baldur's Gate 3 change AAA? What will now happen in game development? And it's like, nothing? what are you talking about? But it's still in the minds of the people, right? The people who have played Baldur's Gate 3, they have that still fresh in their mind. And unfortunately, we are humans, right? And we cannot but compare stuff. We like to compare stuff. Even if we're doing it in the back of our head, we always compare things to a certain degree. And Baldur's Gate 3, especially for the people who did not rush it and which did not reach Act 3 yet. Apparently, Act 3 is a bit sketchy from what we hear from the people who are now at that point. But for everyone who's especially playing Act 1, it's this completely polished experience. And people are getting reminded again that game development doesn't have to be a sloppy mess when it comes out on release. And so if we are getting the same results in Starfield, I see that as something tremendously positive, right? Like, it's really this, oh shit. They actually took the time for the first time, take another year, and that is paying off. And I mean, it's also in the biggest interest of Xbox. Let's be real here. The last 1.5 years for Xbox have been they were there, right? While PlayStation had like a good amount of bangers, Xbox was still fighting for this wow moment. This moment where the whole gaming community is coming together and just says, this is a must-have. Like, no matter if you are on PC or on Xbox, this is a must-have. They didn't really have that yet. And I do believe, or I hope, that Starfield could be it, right? That Starfield actually could be this game where people afterwards just go, yo, you don't have a PC or like a gaming PC, it's too expensive to upgrade, get an Xbox. This title is just absolutely worth it. And that's what I'm hoping to see, right? And so, yeah, like I'm glad when they actually took the time and when we are getting a full-on product. As I said, I will not talk about leaks, but the one thing I want to talk about, and I just want to touch on it briefly because it's so bizarre to me. If you have missed it, like on social media, the big talking point was the menu of Starfield, the main menu. And it's literally just what you want to do, continue, new game, options and all that, right? Then there is Starfield, and then there is like a planet in the background with some lighting. That's it. That's the background. And I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. So, like, Bethesda, right? Like, regarding Fallout, like, Fallout 4 is the only game where it is a little bit more busy with things happening, right? Like, all the other Bethesda games have always been that way, where there is just a logo, where you choose what to do. There's like some effect happening in the background, like Skyrim, right? And that's it. And there were literally a debate on social media, like how this is bad, and this doesn't really scream quality, and this is like the first thing you will see about the game, and this is not really like overwhelmingly awesome, so the rest of the game must be mediocre as well. And I'm like, what? Dude, I'm starting up the game. I will look at the options menu for like 5 minutes because I want to make sure that everything is set up. And then the moment I will go back into the main menu, click on new game, and then I'm done with this. I couldn't care less. And there are so many games out there which are doing this. Kind of funny, there was like one developer in particular who was like very adamant that this is a bad sign and all that. And I'm like, dude, do you remember your Firefall login screen? That thing is ass, but nobody cares. It's a login screen. Like, it's so weird. Like, I get it, right? The game is the hype, and people want to get as many information as possible, and people want to make a fight about it. But it's like a main menu, folks. It's a main menu. Like, you know what the normal reaction should be? People say, oh, it's the main menu, and move on. That should have been the reaction. That should have been the only viable reaction to all of this. But no, social media has to start like a constant war over it. And I just can't get it in my head, you know? It's like, oh man. 2 weeks till Starfield release. Apparently, we need some news, man. We need something to like bridge the gap between now and the release, I guess. And apparently, it is the menu screen we are doing it. It's so weird, right? Like, let's say the Baldur's Gate 3. So they updated Baldur's Gate 3 menu screen with the full version, and it looks awesome. I think they put a lot of detail into it, but like I'm not even seeing the menu anymore. I click on it, and the moment I click on continue, and that is it. I don't really care, and I still remember the early access menu, and there was just a waypoint and a wall with a waypoint on it, and that was it. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. They didn't have to upgrade this. Really, they didn't, because it's a menu, man. Make it functional. Allow it to play my game, and then be good, right? So yeah, it's just weird. What else do we have? There's not really much to talk about, right? Like the Starfield Direct was in June. We got a huge amount of info. There's still some questions left, but all things considered, I think it was enough. Like people demand more, and people want to get more information. And it's like, I don't think I need more information. Like I saw somebody on Reddit making the point like, I want all those spoilers, bro. I want all of them. I want to know how the economy works in detail. I want to know how the fighting works in detail. I want a detailed plan before the game is coming out. And even as a content creator, I find that so boring. I know some people, like even in my friend circle, who have to know everything before a game is coming out. It's like, I get it. You're really, really hyped for the game. But I think also it goes a little bit against you're playing this game for the first time and you already know so much. Right? Like, isn't that a little bit boring? I don't know. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't mind when people are doing it for themselves, but it gets a bit problematic when they are then like telling other people about it. And it's basically spoilery. And it's like, don't do that. Here's the thing, I have done it back in the day when I was still working as a journalist, right? I basically had to know everything about the game before it comes out, especially also for the review and all that. And having as much pre-information as possible was the way to go. But you won't believe how much my enjoyment for a game skyrocketed when I just go in blind. Of course, I know a few information here. I know what to expect. Like, I'm not going into a game and be like, huh, what's this? Oh my god, is this the new Doom shooter? And then you are playing FIFA. Right. That's like, I'm not going in that blind. But it's still, I don't know, like knowing everything beforehand doesn't really click with me anymore. I think I just got more patient the older I got, and now I can just wait till it happens, right? Speaking of information, so there was a Q&A with the developers in Discord, which was pretty cool. They actually talked about a few infos. So one of the things I found really, really interesting is when they said, hey folks, economy-wise, the economy is fixed, even though you can do like a lot of selling stuff, buying things, send them from A to B, having caravans and making extra money, but the prices are always fixed. And the only thing which would change that is the perks you have and the stats you have. And I find that interesting. I wonder if we will see some mods which will change that, right? Which will actually change the way how the economy works. But I saw some people then saying like, "Oh man, economy is fixed. Oh, that's boring. Oh, that's shit. Don't like that. Yeah, no, that is taking away so much fun." And I'm like, does it though? Like, here's the problem: we are still fumbling around with only half of the information. We think we know a lot about Starfield, but the closer we are getting to the release point, the more I'm realizing with some new, smaller information bits we are getting, we actually do not know much about Starfield. And so we are now making assessments on half of the information we have. Like, people are already talking about how a not changing economy is like really bad for the market, how this will not be fun, yada yada yada. And I was like, I get it, because they can happen, right? I've played enough like sandbox games where things like that can happen. I have also played sandbox games where the economy doesn't change and it was completely fine, right? Like, if they are calculating under the assumption of all the prices are staying the same, they can just ask a lot of money for things if you want to buy them. So we will have to see. I wouldn't concern myself too much about how the economy works yet and how much that makes a difference and all. But the Q&A was pretty cool. If you want to check it out, I have a video on the channel where I do a TLDR of the whole Q&A in the Discord, if you don't want to read it up, because it was quite a bit. So make sure to check that out. I will put a link in the video description. The last thing I want to talk about today, and this will be a quick one, and then I will wrap it up as the intro. And then, oh my god, next week we are already in the Starfield week. That would be insane. But the last thing I want to talk about is this Tuesday we have the Gamescom opening night live. And interestingly enough, Starfield was in the teaser trailer of the opening night live. So if you don't, by the way, if you don't know what that is and you're like, the what? So it is Gamescom, which is like the biggest consumer convention worldwide when it comes to gaming. It's in Germany, Cologne, and like nearly everyone has like a booth there showing off new games or showing even games which are not announced yet. It's E3, but actually successful now and with consumers. And yes, there was a dig at E3. And opening night live is with Jeff Keighley, who is also doing the Game Awards, right? And this is where he will have a show where he will showcase new games, new trailers, and all that. And they had a teaser trailer with like some of the games which will be shown there, and Starfield was in it. Now, keep in mind, with those teaser trailers, they love to just put also some hype games into it because it's about gaming, right? And then they put also some games in there they were actually showcased. So does it mean we are getting a new trailer? I would say yes. Why? Because this will be the release trailer. We don't have a launch trailer yet. And launch trailers are normally happening pretty close to release, and 1.5 weeks. That's close enough. And it's a big enough event. So I truly believe we are getting a launch trailer on Tuesday. And I'm really hyped for that, right? But we will see. Let me know what you think. And again, if you enjoy this and you also want to see more Starfield content, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also leave a like if you haven't yet. If you want to see me stream Starfield, we will also play some Fallout 4 with first-time mods. I've never modded Fallout 4, and the last time I played Fallout 4 was actually when Fallout 4 came out, so that's now what, 7 years ago? We would do that starting next week, and you can find me on kick.com/ChaosMole. Yes, it's Kick. Yes. If you want to know my reason, there's another video out there. And for all the people who might have a problem with that, what can I say, right? But yeah, we will play some Fallout 4, talk a little bit about Bethesda games, talking about Starfield while we are doing it. So it's a little bit of a pre-hype of the things to come. So if you want to join us there, you're more than welcome to do so. Also, make sure to check me out on my socials. I'm mostly in Blue Sky now because I cannot be asked anymore with Twitter or whatever they're calling it next week. And yeah, just to make sure. But with that said, thank you so much for watching, folks. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.